Hello students, today will be discuss about character of Norman Wilde. Okay, Norman Wilde is another major character in the novel, The Return of the Native. He is generally regarded as the villain of the novel, but Hardy has portrayed him as a romantic figure. He resembles Troy in Far From the Madding Crowd. Okay. Next, his physical features. Wilde is handsome young man. His figure is so attractive that he readily draws the attention of women. He was quite a young man, and of the two properties, form and motion, the latter first attracted the eye in the man. The grace of his movement was singular. It was the pantomimic expression of a lady killing career. Next came into notice the moral material qualities, among which a profuse crop of hair impending over the top of his face, landing to his forehead, the high cornered outline of an early Gothic shield, and a neck which was smooth and round as a cylinder. The lower half of his figure was of light build. Altogether, he was one in whom no man would have seen anything to admire, and in whom no woman would have seen anything to dislike. Okay. Next, Wilde in the sight of the Heath pupil. Okay. We get some idea about Wilde from the talk of the Heath pupil. Social nuisance is not in favor of Thompson's marrying Wilde, but considers him to be good looking and clever. She says to give him his due, he is a clever, learned fellow in his way, almost as clever as Gilliam used to be. He was brought up to better things than keeping the quiet woman in an engineer. His learning was no use to him at all. In her opinion, he is a man whom a woman would hardly refuse to marry. Next है romantic nature. Wilde is a romantic figure. Hardy calls him the Rousseau of Eden. Wilde is in the habit of looking away from the small but the satisfying glow of actual life to some perhaps illusory anticipated heap of happiness far away. To be yearning for the difficult, to be weary of the offered, to care for the remote, to dislike the near, if was Wilde's nature always. Another aspect of Wilde's nature is that, contrary to Rousseau, he has no love for nature. Like Eustacia, Wilde hates Egan Heath and wants to go away from there. Next, an innocent, inconstant lover. Wilde is an inconstant lover, is not sincere in his love for Eustacia and Thompson. He has affairs with both the women, but he is unable to decide with whom he should be firm and loyal in love. He loves Thompson and decides to marry her when his marriage is not performed with Thompson on account of a technical mistake. He promises to marry her soon, but it is soon attracted towards Eustacia. When he gets the signal of invitation from Eustacia, he quickly responds to it and goes to meet her. Even after his marriage with Thompson, he continues to show his passionate liking for Eustacia. He wanders around Eustacia's house to have a glance of her, and when he is frightened by Van, he decided to meet Eustacia as a relation during the daytime. At the end of the novel, he decides to love with Eustacia. All his show his wavering nature. He is a Byronic figure and has all the instincts of a lady killer. He is not a reliable lover. He is a trickster and slanderer. I find there are two flaws where I thought there was only one. Perhaps there are three or four. He plays with the emotions of two young girls, Thompson and Eustacia, for a long time, and the greater of those feminine forces draw him like a magnet. Even after he has married the lesser, largely out of pique. Next, his knowledge of female psychology. Wiley is not only an attractive man, but he also has a sound knowledge of female psychology. When he meets Eustacia in her own house, he does not tell her about his good torture because he knows that she will not show an interest in his good fortune at a time when she is passing through the most turbulent period of her life. Hardy makes the following comment upon this pleasing aspect of Wilde's character. Those delicate touches of good taste were in fact one of the strong points. The peculiarity of Wilde was that while at one time passionate, upbraiding, and resentful towards a woman, at another he would treat her with such unparalleled grace as to make previous neglect appear as no discourtesy, injury as no insult, indifference as a delicate attention. And the ruin of her honor of excess of chivalry. In short, it can be said that Wilde has good knowledge of female psychology and is well versed in the arts of winning and not only women's goodwill but love. Okay, next, Wilde is a villain or not. Some critics are of the opinion that Wilde is the villain of the novel, for he destroys not only his own life but also the lives of others. It is true that he continues to show his interest in Eustacia even though she has been married to Clem, but this does not make him a villain, for he does not violate any norms of morality. He neither thinks of seducing her nor does he try to establish illicit relationship with her. Eustacia also does not encourage him to make any advancement. It is a adverse fate which has made him to appear as the villain of the novel. By nature he is not villainous. It is wrong to compare him with Sergeant Troy, far from the madding crowd. Okay. Next, Wilde's greatness in death. Wilde is real pitiful, and he makes even Eustacia yawn. Eustacia's last soliloquy gives a correct estimate of her insincere and wavering lover. He is not great enough for me to give myself to. He does not suffice for my desire. If he had been a soul or Wanaperi, what to break my vow for him, it is too poor a luxury. But before meeting his tragic end, an opportunity occurs for him to show a streak of nobility. The manner in which he rises to the occasion, leaping into the dark, boiling where without even removing his great coat to the rescue of Eustacia, almost redeems his other faults, and at last, if he has committed many paltry actions, he dies like a hero. Of all the minor characters, Wildlife is perhaps the most interesting because he is less static and more ambivalent and functions as a kind of pivot between the minor and the major figures. His impulses alternate between the selfish and the generous. He is first presented as a typical man with a weak will and shifting passions. Like when an Evrite, he has abandoned his vocation, but he has done so without their reasons. He seems at first a kind of Eustacia in diluted form. Like her, he tends to find most valuable what he cannot leave. He is, however, unlike Eustacia, tender-hearted. He is also capable of generosity. Her suffering, for example, calls forth his most generous impulses, like Clem. He ultimately pained by her situation and assumes all the guilt and responsibility for it.